Oh, brother, we got a lot to talk about. Let me quickly summarize this episode for you. Mayuri is on the scene, facing off against Gazelle. Gazelle is a non-issue. Her zombies, a non-issue. The world around him is a non-issue. This dude is using Izanami on Hitsugaya. He ain't never gonna see the truth. And then not only that, he ends up taking over all the zombies that freaking Gazelle got. So she is done. The other half of this episode is Byakuya facing off against Mr. Cupid guy. I don't remember his name, but doesn't matter. The sucker loses in one episode. Appears in one episode, dies in one episode. Let me say this because Liliato is over there and he's about to eat this guy. Miss Gluttony herself. And at the end of this episode, we have Yuha Bach going up into the royal palace. FBI, open up! So why I'm saying there's a lot to talk about here, because this episode in general, I didn't really like it that much. There's that fact, and also what is in the future that has me concerned. So when it comes to this episode, what I didn't like about it is the fact that it just focused a little too much on Mayuri, honestly. And honestly, Byakuya didn't really need this fight. And hear me out. We have a lot of other captains that haven't had a lot of moments within the series. So it's kind of odd to me that we take time for an episode to focus on Mayuri and on Byakuya. Two of the characters that have the most development when it comes to the Gotei 13. It's like, yes, there's a nice little juxtaposition between Mayuri and Gazelle and how similar they are when it comes to controlling. And also it shows like the state of mind that Mayuri has when it comes to trying to protect the Gotei 13. Because he will get his hands dirty in order to fulfill his duty. But the thing is, we don't really need to have that spelled out for us. If you understand Mayuri's character, we already knew this from the get-go. Also, this fight is kind of on a mirroring aspects when it comes to the fight he had with Zaraparo, because they're both scientists and there's similarities that's going on with that too. So what I'm saying is that we didn't really need to have this fight be as drawn out as it was, and gave more time to other people like Hisagi, for instance. I keep saying I want to see his goddamn time because it feels like a wasted fight altogether, Mr. Cupid guy, because he fights Byakuya and then immediately loses and then dies. And it wasn't even by Byakuya. So instead of doing that, you could have gave this guy up to some other character, to some other person, to let them have their moment. Because it's frustrating to see like the freaking visors not do nothing. You see where I'm coming from? We have so many characters and it's just a lot of them not getting the shine that they need. And there's actually one character in particular that actually really needs a moment before the future happens here. So I'm gonna get into a little bit of spoiler territory real quick. So you might want to cut the video off right here. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the manga and about a specific character here that honestly, you notice, has not got one lick of freaking screen time at all. Okay, is everybody gone? I'm talking about Ukitake. Ukitake, for what happens with him in the manga, it's weird that we don't get him having a moment, having some type of fight. There's a little something, right? Before what happens to him.
Will you get up here and give me a hand?
Because where Yuha Bach is at currently at the moment, I believe, if it's not this episode, it should be the next episode, we're gonna see his big sacrifice, basically. I'm not gonna say everything, because just in case you guys are still here, I'm not gonna say it all, but for those that are manga readers, you'll know what I'm talking about. So it's odd to me that we haven't had a moment with him at all throughout this entirety of this adaptation. Herein lies why I say the adaptation does not need to be a one-for-one. The reason why I say this is because Thousand Year Blood War, as good as it is, there are some issues with it. That's why I was hoping that the adaptation was going to actually fix some of the issues that the manga actually had. Because trust me, when some of this stuff goes down, it will annoy you. And I know I'm not in the minority with this, because when it was coming out in the manga, I was reading it at that time, we were annoyed at that time with some of the decisions that were happening within the manga. And if you keep going on this track like this, it makes me concerned that maybe we won't get the development that Yuha Bach needs. Maybe we won't get to be able to see how this whole thing wraps up better. Because the way this arc wraps up, it is not good. It drops the ball in a lot of ways. So I am being a bit more critical here right now when it comes to this. Not to say that this is a bad episode, but it just makes me concerned that we're not gonna get the things that we need, not just what we want, but we need in order to flesh out some things within the Thousand Year Blood War arc. But all right, tell me, what do y'all thought about this episode this week? I wanna know, am I tripping? Like, am I not seeing something? Maybe you guys can see something out of this that I'm not seeing. So please explain yourselves to me in the comment section below. I'd love to know. Let's talk about this. Like, dislike, do what you gotta do. I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, people, break out though.
Hi, I am the Thabreakmaster. Welcome to my stream. How are you doing?